All right, everyone. It looks like further hostility with Iran may actually be averted if Donald Trump can pull this off. That would be helpful. It would be nice not to start World War III or at least a major regional war that possibly drags in Russia and causes direct hand-to-hand combat and shit like that. Pezeshkian over in Iran has called for dialogue with the United States on talks for peace. Trump is basically demanding that they end their enrichment of nuclear materials. Now, he's not going to get that. The Iranians might pledge to it, but then move their facilities or something like that. And then Israel, of course, can always provoke a situation by getting directly involved and using a stealth bomber to bomb one of these sites or something like that. This happened in 2006 in Syria, actually. So it doesn't necessarily mean full on lasting peace, but a general cessation of hostilities would probably be a good thing for the world. And so if Trump and Pezeshkian are willing to come to the table and hammer things out, at least some sort of basic agreement with regards to nuclear enrichment, foreign aid, um, hostility in general, anything under the sun, that would always be a good thing. In fact, it would be beneficial if Trump decided to take a visit to Tehran. I don't think that things are quite set up, security-wise especially, for that at the moment, but it's a conceivable situation. Nobody ever could have conceived, for example, when Donald Trump was elected the first time around, that he would not only cause some degree of peace to break out in the Korean Peninsula, but become the first president to actually physically cross into North Korean territory. He's the first one to do that. Presidents have visited Korea before, of course, but not after it got cordoned off and you have the rise of the DMZ and then you have the two Koreas sort of thing. He's the first one and the only one ballsy enough to do it. If any president is going to visit Iran, it would be Trump. And watch what happens. Here's a prediction. Let's say that Donald Trump strikes negotiations up with the Iranians. And he says, I'm not afraid of going to Iran. Fuck it. Nobody cares. Nobody's going to touch me. I'm the president of the United States. Goes full balls to the wall mode, and he's fondling his brass balls while he's doing it and chuckling and eating a Big Mac or maybe some bacon, just as a joke. And he lands in Tehran. Let's say the negotiations are fruitful or unfruitful. That could be the case too. Maybe they pretty much fall flat. That's possible. I don't think that they would, but it's possible. The liberal legacy media that spent so many years rambling about how the United States needed to back off and stop hardlining Iran, which I actually agree with, all of a sudden will say, Orange man bad, how dare he go and land in America's enemy? How dare he go and negotiate with these monsters? Oh my God. Then they'll switch from hey, you can't criticize Islam because Islamophobia to women's rights and stuff like that. You watch, it will be absolutely hilarious. The hypocrisy that you're going to see if that happens would be worth a million memes, probably more than a million. And this might actually happen. Trump is the first president, especially the first Republican president, take seriously this issue enough to invest any significant time and effort in it. Obama basically just sent them shitloads of cash, literal crates of money, billions of dollars worth. That was his answer to the problem. Also, I've got to admit, I don't really see a problem, honestly. Iran is halfway across the world and does not have the capability of attacking us. Are they capable of fucking around with our allies in the region? Yes. Are they capable of impeding our ships in shipping? Yes. We're capable of dealing with both of these problems quite easily. We can guard our ships. It's not that difficult. We've got the number one navy in the world. What are you going to do? You think that Iran is crazy enough to fire an anti-ship missile at a U.S. aircraft carrier or something like that? It wouldn't go over too well for them, now would it? They're certainly not going to do it while Trump is president. He's trying to make peace. Liberals look askance to this. The same people that I was cohort with, like back in the day when I was at Groovy UV and shit like that, UVM, smoking weed and watching Bill Maher with my suite mates and shit like that. And those same liberals now, they've sold out and all of a sudden they're gung-ho for war. America first. It's America first in every sense except for putting America first, in other words. I just realized I stumbled upon a very, very tragic irony. Yeah, America's number one. We're gonna kill you. But we don't actually need to do this America First policy because, strengthening the nation is a bad idea. Cuckoo. That's what I think about it. Iran is not my enemy. No Iranian ever stabbed me in the back or fucked me over or anything like that. So I don't have a problem with Iran. I don't even care if they get nukes, honestly. But if you're going to have diplomatic dialogue, then have diplomatic dialogue. And it should be more than a phone call. Again, I would urge the Trump administration to seriously consider sending more than just an envoy over to Tehran. I would send Trump himself with a full security detail. The Iranians aren't going to kill the goddamn president of the United States. You'd have to think that here's a problem. Let me explain in depth. The American public has been trained by propaganda to believe that there are state actors in the world that are run by people who are insane. This is the case in a handful of very, very backwards third world, sub-third world regimes, like at this point probably South Africa and so forth. Yes, but they're not a threat. They're not capable of any real military response if they get into it with the United States. When we're talking about nations with any reasonable degree of military sophistication, especially, and with any economic development whatsoever, so a nation like Iran, they're not led by people who are insane. They're led by people who, in some cases, we would conceive of as hostile towards our interests, sometimes towards their own people. Look at Gaddafi, for example. He developed Libya into a developing nation. It has now collapsed into sub-third world status as a result of the actions of the United States, specifically Hillary Clinton's State Department. Thank you, Hillary. Really cool. Yeah, I'm sure that all of those 10-year-old girls that are getting raped over there on a daily basis, I'm sure that they thank you for your feministic views. They're really, really helpful to them. I'm sure that they wear the pride flag pridefully. That makes a whole lot of sense. Um, Pezeshkian is calling for dialogue. Now the ball is in Trump's court. I think that he'll take it up. I think that he'll actually engage in meaningful dialogue with the Iranians. Now, what kind of deal or negotiations happen, that will, of course, remain to be seen. But I have hope. Under Biden, I wouldn't have had hope. If he had said this back then, I would have said, yeah, Biden's really going to negotiate. He'll send Kamala over, and then, Iran will erupt into civil war over the disgust. With Trump, at least you have a chance because we know he's capable. Now we just need to determine whether he's willing. That's about all. Peace out.